Hello, everybody. We are the Saints Tank. Our guest is Theresa Golden, native genealogist and a lineage specialist. So, Theresa, you got some news for us today.
Oh, yes. A concerned citizen sent me a message this morning. I just wanted to let everybody hear it. The Freedmen decision, the judge ruled in favor of the Freedmen. And this is what the recording is about, and I'll just play it for you, Leroy.
Hey, Selena, I spoke to the Muskogee media because I couldn't get the chief's office to answer. Spoke to a young man there. He said, just hold on. All this is that the court submitted it back to the citizenship board. He said this isn't the first time it's happened. I think it was a Ron Graham a few years back. Exact same thing happened. The court sent it back to the board to consider it because whenever these people applied, the citizenship board said, "Pound sand, get out of my office. We're not even listening to you." So the board, it went to the court. The court said, citizenship board listened to it. He goes, "I can't promise you anything, but I can tell you that the citizenship board is more than likely going to say exactly the same thing they did next time. It will go through several rounds of appeals, and it'll probably go all the way up to the Supreme Court." He goes, "This is probably 3 years from anything ever happening." And, ultimately that's all I wanted to hear. And I'm good now. It'll see its day in court. This is just a minor step, although I think it's a bullshit step. But anyway, that's what I found out, and I wanted to give you a voice instead of me misspelling half the words. Anyway, hang in there, cousin. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Theresa, so what do you take from that?
Okay, 2 things I heard him say. Ron Graham, and when Ron Graham took it to the Supreme Court, but that's what happened. The Supreme Court reverted him back to the tribe, and then the judge retired. Okay, that was a political move with the Creek tribe because the judge works for who? Creek Nation. He retired, and he gets to get a check every day for the rest of his life. Anyway, and he never came to a decision. That's what happened to Ron Graham. Okay, and then that's the only thing I didn't disagree with is that because, yes, we have been fighting a long time for citizenship, but he didn't say anything about the by blood word, how they illegally put it in the Constitution. See, when you do something illegally that makes the whole Constitution no good, I mean, that's the law.
Right. It's a supreme law.
Right. And see, nobody addressed the by blood question because everybody knows that's the 2 words that wrote the Freedmen out because they don't have to prove blood degree. They don't have to. The Freedmen in Article 2, it says, she'll enjoy all the same privileges as a Creek citizen. That means they don't have to prove anything. It's a wonder they even have to show a birth certificate because most of them still have the same name, like Rhonda Grayson. They still holding that Freedman name. So It goes without saying she's a Freedman. Okay, so they don't have to prove anything. Everybody is coming at me with this native word. Native and sovereignty can never fly and can never be right unless you do right. It can't. It won't work. You have to do right if you're going to say you're going to be sovereign. And sovereignty, we let the Freedmen down with our sovereignty word because they were put out with 2 words, by blood. They overrun the by blood word. It is mentioned 47 times in the Creek Constitution. They did not want the Freedmen in there. This is the most political move I've ever seen besides the Claude Cox when he put the Freedmen out. He put the Freedmen out just so he could gamble and race horses and buy horses from England and Europe and other countries. That's how much money our tribe had. And here we are, we can't even build a house. Until they reinstate the freedmen, Leroy, we will gain all that land back. We will regain all of Black Wall Street back. We'll regain that. That's $1 million in Tulsa. That's over 1 million acres in Freedmen, Blacktown.
Well, you sent me a message from showing that a ruling in a Freedmen case was ruled in their favor. So those who don't know, go into that a little bit.
Okay, the Freedmen sued the Citizenship Board, and most of those freedmen I enrolled, with my genealogy. So I know that they're right, okay? And all of them, all those cards that I put in will go through. They have to put them through. It says that they don't have to study it or anything. It says to give them their citizenship. That's what the Creek judge said. But now they're saying we have to appeal it to the Supreme Court because the Attorney General says we have to protect the Constitution. That's our job, is to protect the Constitution. The Creek Constitution is the one I'm talking about. The Creek Constitution that, again, 47 times by blood in just one article, 47 times. And if anybody don't believe me, go to the website, Creek Constitution, and it's all there. You don't have to believe a word I said. But it's the reason it's political, Leroy, is because that is meant to divide us. And all we have to do is just stick together, and we'll come out all right. If we start dividing over this skin color and arguing over this by blood, that's what they want. That's what they want. We just all keep sticking together. And see, this is just a concerned citizen. I don't even know this guy. He sent me this, and he had already been talking about it with someone else on Facebook. And he just happened to send it to me because he seen me posting about the Freedmen decision. And he said, don't you think there's going to be an appeal? Well, this is the thing about everybody on Facebook. Only the freedmen know that I wrote the law, Leroy, and I filed it on August the 29th. It takes 90 days for the chief to do something about it. He's got to bring it to the people, he's got to bring it to the council, or he can just sign it. But I wrote a law, and all the other freedmen are ready and waiting to go right behind me. As a matter of fact, the Seminole freedmen called me this morning, and they want to sit down and rewrite their constitution, which is a right of the people. If you don't agree with what's going on in your tribe, you can change it. Yes, and all we have to do is just keep moving forward. Now, I seen the Freedmen are having a meeting on November the 4th, and they're going to talk about amending their Constitution and their laws to take whatever out or put whatever in. So that the Freedmen wrote the 1866 Creek Treaty. Don't you think they know what the law is? It blows my mind. Ron Graham called me last night. He said he was going to meet with the chief this morning, and I told him that I thought that wasn't a good idea. Maybe he need to meet with the council or the second chief first. Give the chief a chance. Don't just rush in like that, okay? Because that's the problem with aggressiveness. We've been waiting a long time, but we can wait just a little bit longer. And I think, and this is just my opinion, by 2024, we're going to have a whole new citizenship application. Because I looked online on the BIA applications, and they're supposed to be revised by the end of this year. So that's telling me something. That's telling me that Washington is getting ready. See, we're already at Washington, D.C. with the Cherokee Freedmen. So they know about the Freedmen. This ain't, like that guy said, 3 years out, this ain't the first time the Supreme Court heard this. And the reason they sent them back to Creek Nation is because they were trying to prove a point. The reason the Supreme Court sent Ron Graham back to the tribe was because they were trying to prove a point that you have to honor the treaty. That's the supreme law. That's why the Supreme Court sent Ron Graham back for another time. See, he's been 2 times before the Supreme Court, and both times he was denied and reverted back. See, they're saying they're going to reverse the decision. The decision meaning Freedmen denied, okay? That's reversed. The Freedmen got denied on their citizenship, and the judge said, we're going to reverse that decision. But the Attorney General don't agree with that, and she works for Creek Nation. That's who's going to pay her, and they were talking about firing her. But they figured it out that they can do it this way. They can just pay her to appeal it. Do you know how much an appeal would cost, Leroy Miller?
How much?
It's gonna cost, because I know the Freedmen attorneys. You know, they got DeMario Simmons and they got some good attorneys, but the best attorneys they want at least $30,000 a retainer. That means up front before they even work, and then they start charging. That's how lawyers work. And so that's going to be coming out of where? From the tribe, because this is a tribal lawsuit. It's a tribal lawsuit, but the Citizenship Board is run by the BIA. I don't understand. That's the government. I mean, so this guy, he's just talking about racism, basically, and how they just keep going around in circles. Every time I call the media, they won't cover this. They won't talk to me. They say it won't go anywhere. It's not going to go anywhere. That's what any media that you call, that's what they're going to say. If you call them and try to talk to them about the Freedmen, because it's political, it's politics. This is an election year, and that's how come they don't want to let anybody in on this year. Not till 2024. And then the Freedmen, if they can hold up to 2024, everybody knows, that the chief don't have to include the Freedmen on the COVID money. And he's right now, our chief of the Creek Nation is spending COVID money. Everybody can watch the National Council on the Creek Nation. You can watch it on YouTube, and they're spending COVID money. It's all politics. It's all politics. And when he said 3 years out, guess what? 3 years out means a whole nother administration. That's a whole nother chief. That's a whole nother council.
Did you message that guy back who sent you that audio and
no,
asked who he was, or?
No, we were just going back and forth last night on the news that the Freedmen decision. So everybody was talking about it, and everybody was saying yay, and then he jumps up and says, "Won't there be an appeal?" And I said, well, I thought the BIA ran citizenship. When you go talk to the chief about Indian cards, that's what I do. He says that he don't have nothing to do with the cards. Yet his name is signed on them, but he says it's run by the BIA, and he doesn't have anything to do with it. So this is all political. Of course, we do have citizenship to the tribe, and then there's the BIA blood degree. That's 2 different applications you fill out when you go for a card. It's supposed to be all in one, but you still have to go through the Creek Nation. Application might accidentally get through in the trash. This is what we ran up against when I enrolled the Cherokee Freedmen. I was noticing that, applications weren't getting to the BIA. And that's what they were doing. So we got to be leery of every little thing. And this ain't our first rodeo. We've done been through the same process with the Cherokee tribe. And the number one thing that the Creek Chief says is he don't want to be like the Cherokees. But I think he needs to try to be like anything is better than the way it's going. We don't have no housing. We don't have anything. We just got $220 billion. We don't have nothing to show for it.
Oh, my goodness.
We got $220 billion. We got for COVID money, and we still got money. The chief says apply for programs, and you can still get COVID money. And you can watch the council. They're still spending it. And if he can shuck his feet long enough, he don't have to give the freedmen any COVID money, just like the Seminoles. The Seminoles didn't get no freedmen money. Nope, they didn't. They got to go to the doctor, and they got to get the COVID shot, and they were grateful for that. I was too, because the Indians was falling. We didn't have enough people for a tribe. So that's what the Seminole Nation got. They got to get their COVID shots. They got to go to the clinic, and they can, use the resources that are there in the Seminole tribe. But they can't run for chief, and they can't have no kind of, they can't do as much. They don't have the same privileges. If you're a Seminole freedman, you have to go to the land records. And every other Seminole don't have to do that. Only the Seminole freedmen have to go to the land records and show that they are tied to the soil. That shows they're tied to the soil in Oklahoma, and that's how they are freedmen. Okay, they just make it difficult for every different tribe. They make the freedmen jump through more hoops. Okay, Indians already have to jump through hoops. We're the only people that have to prove ourselves. We have to show it, birth certificates and death certificates all the way up to the number, okay? We're the only race that has to do that. Now, they're making it 10 times harder for freedmen because they're Indian and black, so that's two minorities. I mean, that makes it double hard on them, and they don't have a voice. It's so hard to get a freedman card. It is so hard to get a Seminole freedman card, Leroy. I've probably got one in my whole lifetime, and I'm a professional lineage specialist. I've only got one Seminole freedman card. It was hard. They didn't have a name. You had to go by somebody else's name. How do you prove that? I mean, they just make it harder and harder. They don't try to make anything easier.
And not to interrupt you, Theresa, so it sounds like to me, we really need to be exposing these tribes. That they trying to help maintain slavery is what they're doing.
Yeah.
They maintaining slavery.
I tried that, Leroy. I went to the freedmen and I said, let's put a lawsuit on the people that did the illegal thing to the Constitution and put the by blood in. And guess what he said? He said, they look like they are hurting and they look like they are sorry for what they did, and we're not going to do that right now. We're going to just let them stay in politics. When there's a law in the Creek Constitution that says if you break the law, we can kick you out with just one piece of paper. So these people broke the law when they put by blood in. But guess what? The freedmen don't want it like that. I talked to them, they done dropped the lawsuit on the chief, and they dropped the lawsuit on Deb Harlan, which is the Department of Interior. So see, I don't know if they're easing up.
Because they believe they're gonna do the right thing.
I don't know. It looks like they feel sorry for him, and they said that they talked to the chief, and he said he feels like whoever
sorry
did
for
it.
him.
Yes, like not feel sorry for them, like they are sorry for what they did. The people that changed the Constitution see that it's costing the tribe all this money. It's costing us, you can tell it's costing us so much money. I went to the hearing when Ron Graham was over here at the federal building, and David Hill didn't show up. He sent 6 attorneys, Leroy, 6.
Right. What I'm trying to understand, you said that the Creek Freedmen they dropped the lawsuit.
Well, you know, all of the Freedmen aren't together. You got the Muskogee Creek Indian Freedmen, you got the Creek Freedmen Band, you got the African Creeks, you got the Black Creeks, and then you got the 5 civilized tribes Freedmen. Okay? You got like 5 different groups that are just Freedmen, and then you got the Creek Freedmen. Okay, so all of these different organizations are there's all these different freedmen organizations. That's all, and every organization has a different thing going on, like a different lawsuit. And I thought Eli Grayson, he was saying that we need to put as many lawsuits on them as we can. But I don't know if that's a good idea either, because, like, the people are hurting in the Creek tribe because we don't have no money. We're having to go to tribal towns for money.
You said that the Creek Nation got $1 billion, so they just sitting on that money and not handing it down to the citizens.
The Creek Nation got $220 billion the second time, and $20 million the first time. $20 million, and that's the one we got paid off of. We got about $5,000 each, and that don't add up.
No, it sure don't.
Yeah, that don't add up for the first $20 million, and then we got $22 billion for housing and bridges and anything that we needed because of COVID to rebuild. Remember that? Rebuild.
You said you never got your house fixed or nothing, did you?
Oh, Leroy, I've been homeless. I'm 65 years old. I'm an elder. My mom was a full blood.
Wow.
And because I work for the Freedmen, I'm blackballed. And I'm at the last of the list. The last time I called up there for a house, my number was 50. Number 50, and I'm 65 years old. There's no way, Leroy. The housing grant got pulled because the chief was being racist. It's all on. You can just look up on YouTube and watch the HUD and the HASD programs. He didn't even show up. He sent an ambassador to go talk for him. He didn't even show up.
Yeah, oh no, man. It just seemed like to me I wouldn't be playing with the Chiefs and none of them. I mean, because like you said earlier, at this point I wouldn't trust nobody. I would proceed with lawsuits because, you know, anybody could be paid off.
The Cherokees have been filing over and over again, and that's what happened. They were getting sold out. They were getting sold out at the top. You know, it's easy when you got a lot of money, and they can see that the Freedmen don't. They took all of the land, and they took all the resources from them, and then they told them, you got to fight with nothing. So most of the Freedmen did the same thing. They started their own bands, like, you know, the African Creek, and they took up a collection and just saved their money and got their attorney. That's what every Freedman tribe did. And that's how we got here. where we are today. That's how we got all these lawsuits and different people, coming from different opinions. But all of it's the same. It's the racist by blood in the Constitution that was put there illegally 48 times, 48 times. Mm-hmm. Nobody got to vote on the by blood. Nobody got to, it wasn't on the ballot like they said. They saying this many against and that many for. That's a lie. And somebody sent me some minutes from that thing, from that hearing when the council talked about it, but they never mentioned the Freedmen. They never mentioned the treaty. They never mentioned anything on there to make me think that that was a vote of the people. See, it takes a vote of the people to change the Constitution or a law that a citizen can write. So my sister's on the council, and my baby sister ran for chief. So I got the ideas from them. I sit and watch my sister write up $1 million contracts for roads. And I was learning. I didn't know I was, but I was learning. She drew up a legislation to pave a road in Walika from the Indian Center to the school, and that cost $1 million. But I was amazed. They came out like the same month and did it. And that's where I kind of took a liking to, I didn't want to take a liking to politics, but I do want to work on law because I did a couple of divorces now in the Creek Nation court, and that was tough, but you got to have the wording just right. And I did a couple in the county. People will pay you to type up their legal stuff, and that's where I was at with that. And so it just came to me one day that the citizens can propose laws. And that's what I sat down and wrote that out. And that's a secret. I don't think the guy that sent me this message knows anything about the law that I wrote in the Creek Nation.
Would it be more effective if you had multiple people that's citizens writing the law?
Well, mostly I've seen the council people writing it. And I see the chief, when he wants something, he gets one of the councils to adopt his proposals. That's how he gets his stuff done. Right now, he was working on building a daycare in Okmulgee, which we need, but we already got buildings. He's going to go and build a $50 million daycare, and that's some more COVID money. When we got perfectly good buildings, we just bought the rehab center in Okmulgee. That's a big building right next to the DHS, and we could put that daycare, but I guess the chief knows what he's doing when it comes to that. But, yeah, that's another $1 million thing that the chief, before housing, he's going to get a daycare. When our biggest thing is we haven't built anything, no houses for our people. And if you're not building, you're not prospering. Yeah.
Like I said earlier, it sounds like to me we really need to expose these 5 civilized tribes. We were discussing in the last session that we had semantics, wordplay. That's why I say words really have meaning. They have meaning, and when you in court, they really mean something in court.
Right. Well, I did a art exhibit for Governor Stitt a while back, and I met some of the senators and governors of our state. And guess what? None of them knew about the Indians owning slaves. And I went straight to the black senators. One of them was, I think his name was Kevin Matthews or Kenneth Matthews. Anyway, I went straight to him. I said, "Did you know about the slavery?" And he said, "No, he did not." And that was our Oklahoma senator. So we got to watch who we vote on. We got to watch who we put in there. And that's another thing. Black people vote. That's the one thing I'll give them, and Indians won't. You see, only a third of the people came out of the Creek Nation and voted. That was pitiful. We don't even have a third of our people working at the Creek Nation. I mean, pitiful.
So how do these senators, they don't know that the tribes help maintain slavery? And
Well,
you got Maxine Waters. I know they know about Maxine Waters. She support the Freedmen.
California. She's from California. And when you get to Oklahoma, there's that always. Oklahoma's going to be the last, okay? The last in everything, women incarceration on down to everything. We're the last, and we're going to be the last to let go of that slavery, Leroy. I promise.
No, I believe that. Yeah, I definitely believe that.
That's gonna be. They're holding on like they're still. I still get racist. I have to close my Facebook out, Leroy. My mom was full blood Creek, and I get racist slurs and hate mail. I have to close my Facebook out. This was one good message that I opened up and saw this morning, but usually it's bad. They don't say anything about black and white. They just say, I'm not Native. I'm not Indian. And I was like, okay. I don't argue and I don't compete. I just close my Facebook out and I close it out. But see, that is the stigma in Oklahoma. You're always going to have to deal with until we bring it to the front, Leroy, just like what you want to do. Because I agree. I say go after them. Get them out of there. Because if they lied and cheated that time, they'll lie and cheat the next time. If they lied and put the bad blood in there, they're going to do another illegal thing. They're going to steal from the tribe. So that's why I say get rid of them. But
so if these tribes trying to amend the Constitution right now, like, I just don't see them putting freedmen in. I don't see them taking Bob Blood out. They could play with words, semantics, and word stuff a certain way to benefit them. That's how I see it. I could be wrong. But
right. Well, that's why we are going back to the 1866 Creek Treaty, because that's the supreme law, and it will work with every tribe because it worked with the Cherokee. It will work with every tribe everything will work if you work it. You can't just sit back and let people not know like what you said, Leroy. We have to bring it to the senators and the governors that the tribes own slaves. That way they'll look at things different.
Right. Not only own slaves, but they still helping maintain slavery.
Yes,
this is exactly what this is. It's paper genocide and everything else.
I agree. All the way down to you got to show those birth certificates. It's all paper genocide and wordplay. But like I said, we got to hold them to it. Just like the Cherokees. I don't care how many times they say we ain't like the Cherokees. That's a pattern. That's a trail. And all we got to do is stick to it. Because if the Cherokee chief will honor the freedmen, all the other tribes have to. That's the largest tribe. We got to follow. Get past it. The only way you can get past something is acknowledge it. It's even everything. And that's what he said in that message, remember? He said, they just said, get out of here with that. They should have went to the BIA. They should have went over their head. And when I tried to do that, on many Creek cards was mistakes, like different spellings of names and that, because Creek people didn't want to talk English. But anyway, there's a lot of mistakes in there. And when I brought it to the chief's attention, he said I had to go to the BIA. When I fix somebody's blood degree on their cards, I've always had to go to the BIA. I never had to go to Creek Nation for anything. So I thought that Citizenship Board was run by the BIA. That's Washington, D.C. Thus, no appeal. But he's saying different. See, on your BIA card, we used to get a pink card and a white card. And on the pink card comes from Washington, D.C. That's your BI. That's your CDIB card. That's your blood certificate degree of Indian blood. That comes from the BIA. See, the Freedmen cards should not have went through the Citizenship Board. They should have went straight to the BIA because Citizenship Board racist. So that's another lawsuit. That's the lawsuit that Ron Graham's got. He's got Commission of the Five Civilized Tribes. That's the lawsuit that he's got going on. Last time I talked to him, he said if he goes talk to the chief today, they might be able to drop that one. If the chief will see him. And see, Ron Graham, there you are again, Leroy. He don't want to do anything to David Hill. He just wants him to talk to him. And he said, David Hill looks like he's, sorry for putting the Freedmen out, and I'm going to go talk to him. Instead of
he
doing
can look like he's sorry, but do the right thing. If you're sorry,
right,
then, your action's going to follow.
Oh, yes. And so far, they've all been racist actions, especially when the government called him to testify. The Washington, D.C. said, David Hill, come up here and count your freedmen. Tell us how many freedmen you got in your tribe. Guess what? He didn't even show up. And that's when Marilyn Vann only had 5 minutes to talk. You remember that? Right.
I watched it.
She had to talk for all of the freedmen. They only gave her 5 minutes. I thought that was a political move. But our chief, Creek Nation, didn't even show up. So I was so proud of Marilyn Vann when she got up there and spoke for the Cherokee freedmen, but she did also say that all tribes own slaves. And she said that in Washington.
And see, I see history repeating itself because the Cherokee Nation, they was the first ones who let go of their slaves. And then, like you was kind of stating a little bit earlier, some of the other tribes, they followed after the Cherokee Nation. But the Chickasaw Nation, they was the last ones to free their slaves. And they still didn't want to do it. The government had to come in and make them do it. So I see history probably kind of repeating itself, if you ask me.
I agree 100% because that's exactly what's going on. Every tribe is shucking their feet. We're supposed to revert back to McGirt, Leroy. That means all of Oklahoma's Indian land. They want the governor to follow that. The tribes want the governor to follow that. But if we revert back to McGirt, that means we revert back to the 1866 Creek Treaty.
Mm-hmm.
So that goes without saying. See, our tribe, you can't be on the fence. All the tribes got to get on one side or the other. They got to either be on the side of the treaty or not. That's all. You can't bring up no other law because of the McGirt decision. They can't bring up anything else. Yeah. So, yes, Leroy, I agree. I would like to get rid of those people, and I'd like to get rid of the racist chiefs. Now, I just heard this yesterday, Eli Grayson was wanting to run for chief, and that's why he's working with David Hill. And that's how some of the freedmen don't want to push it too much, Leroy, because this is political. One of them might one day want to run for chief, and they don't want to step on no toes, on their way. That's politics.
Right.
And I do know one that's really loud on the by blood, and that's Eli Grayson. But he's the same way. He won't go after those people that took messed up the Constitution to begin with and made it race-based.
You said he won't go after them?
He don't want to go after him either because he wants to run for chief. And when you go after somebody like that, you got to be able to stand on your own. And he won't be able to do that when he gets ready to run for chief because you need people. You need people to work for you. You need people to vote for you. And you need to be liked. And Eli's liked. Everybody likes him. But he has a tendency to step on some toes. And most of the time it's Freedmen toes. And that's who votes.
Oh, really?
The Freedmen vote. Yes, the Freedmen got 6,000 votes.
I thought he supported the Freedmen.
Yes, Eli. Yes, Eli was the president of the California Creeks Association, which brings 6,000 votes to the table, and he's the president over that. Eli Grayson picks the chief. That's politics. I've been knowing that. That 6,000 votes, Leroy. That puts any chief in.
What do you mean that he tends to step on Freedmen's toes?
Because he wants to run for chief, and he doesn't challenge the Freedmen, but Eli's got a by-blood card. He doesn't have very much blood, so that's why he wants to get rid of the blood degree so Freedmen can run. See, that's the thing about the treaty. If they reinstate the treaty, that means all the same rights and privileges as a citizen. So that means they can run for chief. That's what Eli's going for.
Right.
Yes, and this guy that sent me the message, he said it's just 3 years down the road. So by the next time the chief, chieftaincy, I promise you, we're going to have a Freedman or somebody that's not got full blood, is going to run. They might get it. Because like Eli knows that Indians don't vote. And people that vote are not in Oklahoma. Because Oklahoma is race-based.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, get that. People in Oklahoma, I'm talking about Oklahoma Indians. I don't want to put it exactly like that, but Oklahoma Indians, unless it's your family that's running for chief, that's how I got in politics. My sister ran for chief. Unless it's your family or something like that, you wouldn't have any reason to get into politics, unless you just wanted to change things and for the right reasons, get into politics. But, yeah, I was pulled into politics, and I believe Eli was pulled in, too, by this, the whole thing, just the whole thing. He fought with the Cherokees when they were getting theirs.
We hope that people, when they do fight for freedmen and fight for the poor to do what's right, my thing is I hope these tribes or whoever, don't try to pay somebody off because, money, I believe money is the root of all evil. And, when it comes to money, sometimes people, they can swear their judgment.
Right.
Not saying he will, but I'm just saying, I'm speaking in general.
No, without a doubt. Well, I think Eli, how he got in there is Bob Lemon raised him. He was like his stepdad or something. And Bob Lemon was an activist, and he fought against racism and all that. And that's who raised Eli out in California. And then when he come out here to Oklahoma, they was like, who is this uppity with his smooth talking words, And so he had to get liked, he had to start making people like him, and that's politics. You have to change everything.
Right.
But I don't necessarily know if he'll be a good chief or not. I'm just saying we've got possibilities, especially since Marilyn Vann, she works for the chief in the Cherokee Nation. She's got a job. And Melissa Payne, she works for the Cherokee Freedmen. That's Rosalind Brown's daughter. And Rosalind Brown was a Cherokee Freedmen fighter. She's the one that's in the Smithsonian Institute. And that showed me that the Freedmen can be in the Indian Institute.
Right.
And the only one that's the black or white state is Oklahoma. And there wasn't any room for mulatto, which meant mixed race.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to either be black or white. I learned that from Ron Graham's seminar.
Well, you got anything else for us, Theresa?
Man, I'm so tired, Leroy. Yeah, that's all. I just wanted everybody to know where the lawsuit is going, and that all those cards that are in there they don't have to reapply.
Okay. If y'all want to help support Theresa Golden, I'll leave a link in the description there, and you could help support her. She supports the Freedmen, and as long as I've been knowing her, she that's what I admired about her. She is speaking out for the poor. She's speaking out for those who don't really have a voice. And like I said, she has the Indian card, so she could actually go off and go do her own thing. But she's supporting a Freedman, so I would say please help support her. I thank you, Theresa, for just your fight. It's a war, constant fight and battle, and so yeah.
Yes, thank you, Leroy, because it is a struggle, and I still work every day with the records to make sure people can come to Muskogee and research their family, and that's the only place in Oklahoma that you can come and look at the Indian cards and read about the Freedmen and not have to worry about anything. You just come and research your family, find your Native American.
All right, Theresa. Yeah. Well, it's been good talking to you today. Thank you for all the good news that you shared with us.
Okay, Leroy, it's great. Thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Theresa.